If you do not want to change, if you do not want to better yourself, if you do not want to break outside of this matrix, if you want to live in your comfortable delusion that they have built for you, do not watch these videos. Leave this channel. Because when I step to the game, if you do not want any truth, don't want to understand, if you are not here to hear something that's outside of your own mind and accept others' minds and opinions and the way they think for themselves, you do not belong. And if you are not trying to be positive, if you are not trying to help create solutions while we discuss the problems and how they got here, you do not belong here. Negativity, hate, disrespect, name calling, those things will not be allowed here on this platform and not in this empire. We are the ones, the true Americans, that want to be free and stand as we have always stood.
My lines burn like blunts, getting smoked in the dark. Never cooking shit up. If your ass wanna spar, barbecue your beef up like seats in my car. Cool yourself off refrigerator jar. Rappers been acting like this is not an art. It's not an art. You forgot about that part. Rappers been acting like this is not an art.
You know what time it is. You know what time it is. It's time to put your thinking cap on. It's time to get over here and let's get back into the business, because we have a few things we want to do that are going to benefit the United States and the American citizens that are in our country. Now, I appreciate everybody that comes. I appreciate everybody that came. If you have any ideas that could help us get around this Jones Act and be more sufficient and self-sufficient as a country, so we don't have to rely on these foreign entities for oil and all these different wars and all this other shit, by all means, give us some ideas and give us your thoughts. But if you think this isn't going to work, right, then that's not the best idea to move us forward. So we have to come up with ideas that will work, okay? So if you find any holes in the shit, poke them so we can go ahead and make it better, okay? That's what we're trying to do. Here, we're trying to put together some plans so everybody can be better here in America, specifically. Now, I don't know what happens all over the world. Now, I'm not the emperor of the world or anything. Now, I'm the emperor of the Grand Knowledge Empire, and what we do, we're idea guys. We think over here. Thinking is something that a lot of people aren't really privy to. They're not used to doing that because school tells us to just do what we're told, get this done, this is how you do it. You don't have to think about it. I get it, fine. But here, we love to think. We love to expand our minds, and we love to come up with solutions to the problems that everyday people have. So, by all means, let's go ahead and get started, because we have been kicking some fucking ass, okay? Don't let nobody tell you we don't know what the fuck we talking about, because we're constantly learning as we go. Because if you're not learning as you go, then you think you know it all. And if you think you know it all, is that hubris? So let's go ahead and, people will project, oh, you think you're smarter than that? No, you just know you're not ready. And some people aren't ready, but we are. So let's go ahead and cut this up real quick, because it's time to get a cut. And Claude is our backup today. Eventually, we'll find some people that could come up here and have these conversations, and we'll pull up all these different things, Jones Acts and all these verses, this and that, and corporate whatever. But those people, they'd rather debate instead of come up with the idea on how we can end all this debate. So when we finally open the door, everybody's going to be asking us questions on how this works. But if you don't read the material we're writing down and putting together, then you won't ever be able to understand what we're talking about. Okay, it's easy to debate or tell somebody it's a stupid idea if you don't understand what it is. Okay, so I've been trying to break it down. We've been trying to go slow so people can catch up and keep up. Yo, what's up, Mariah? How you doing? Hell yeah. Thank you. We appreciate you for coming. We're gonna start chopping shit up. Feel me?
we just have to prepare the mind, okay? Remember, the mind is a soft spot in the body that's malleable or malleable, however you want to say that word. We can warp the mind in many different ways with many different tools. And that's what we're fighting against right now. We're fighting against the warped minds that don't believe there's a way out because they're used to the way it has been, even though it's not comfortable and we can complain about it and say all the things wrong with it. A lot of people are convinced that it can't be fixed. And that's what we're here to defeat. We're defeating the mindset of this can't be fixed. We can fix our world. We can. But it's all up to us. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Thank you so much, Mariah. And I had a decent day today. I was doing a lot of work. I am kind of burnt out, but I'm doing the overtime here because this is something that's very important to me, making sure everybody has a better chance to be stress-free. Our children, you know what I mean? I'm trying to alleviate some of that stress so women will want to have children with some of these dudes. And these dudes will have a chance to have a career so they can provide for a woman and shit like that. You feel me? Yo, shout out to Craig. What up, Craig? So all we're trying to do is give everybody some legs to stand on with this idea here. And we're focused on oil refineries right now because the world is at war over energy. This is bullshit to me. I don't see why we should be over there for oil when we have plenty of oil. Oh, wait, we can't refine our own oil. Okay, well, let's nip this shit in the butt. And let's start refining our own fucking oil. Stay out of fucking shit overseas, right? This is where I'm at with it. And then what is that going to do? If we can refine our own oil, the shit we're shipping, dude, if they start acting out, we're going to fill the gap. People are going to want to come do business with America because they don't have to worry about all the bullshit. See what I'm saying? So by us fixing this one problem, we put ourselves as Americans in a power position. This is something that is a scary thought because if our government does become coherent and if our government does become for the people, by the people, it scares the people that have been keeping us divided this whole time. Okay, the corporations and all these little fucking groups that think they're fucking running shit. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Miles, shout out to Miles. We are changing the power dynamics by actually fixing some of these smaller issues that really distract the regular American from being able to think. Because we're so worried about getting money and we're so worried about keeping what we have, barely scraping by, that we believe nothing can be fixed. And we're trying to do our best to just figure out a way to do what they're doing and take as much as we can real quick so we can hurry up and get out. And I think that's what's making us as a community, like we used to have a community in America. You know, we used to have a community in America. We used to be able to go outside and see our friends and be able to, our neighbors, you know, like we don't even know our neighbors because we're so busy or so afraid to offend somebody because of all these ideologies and separations. It's so hard to even communicate. So we need to break these barriers. And the only way to break it is by making sure everybody has jobs, making sure everybody can make money, and establishing a way for our government to be able to play fair with us. All right. Remember, the government is for us, by us. They have convinced us that that's not the case because the people that are in office have been taking advantage and doing all this weird shit and being paid off by all these different conglomerates that are trying to overtake America, which is why we've had other episodes before. Is this America versus the world, or is it East versus West, blah, blah, blah. We've done all this because there's something significant here that is trying to stop us from being the best we can be. Nothing is going to stop us from being the best we can be. All right. Now, you know, Miles, you're my guy. You come through, bro. Let me see if I can do this shit right here. All right, so I will get right into the shit here. Let me check. Oh wait, it's not that one. It's this one. I'm being silly. My fault. I'm over here trying to do 3 things at once. All right, I'm trying to do 3 things at once. Okay, here we go. All right, Miles, my guy, I got you. All right, damn, Craig, it's 3 in the morning, bro. Man, where the fuck you live at, bro? That's wild, man. That's wild. That's wild, bro. Hey, get some sleep. I don't know what the fuck you still up for, bro. My ass would have been gone. Real shit. I'm not being up here till 3 in the morning. Hell nah. Oh, UK. Hey, shout out to UK. I will be taking a trip to London. That's definitely on my to-do list. I'm just trying to wait for shit to settle down because if I get over there and motherfuckers is acting crazy, like, bruh, like, yo, America, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's going down. That's like, I ain't even trying to hit that yet. You know what I'm saying? Shit, I'm gonna have to buy some nuts and a shank as soon as I touch down. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? Shit. As soon as I got to Florida, I tried to get my AR. They told me, oh, well, you have to have the state ID and a residency. I'm like, nigga, what? I'm an American citizen. Hey, bet. I definitely want to see Brussels and shit because, you know, that word just keeps popping up everywhere. You feel me? I got to see Brussels. I don't know about Brussels sprouts. Do you know what I'm saying? Type shit. But hey, I heard Wells is pretty dangerous. I want to visit those hoods. I got to see some shit. You feel me? I've been to every hood. That's one of the things that I know for a fact, bro. Shit. Hey, New York is a dump too, bro. All right. If they cleaned them streets, New York would be real nice. But it stank. It really does stink in New York City. It stank. All right. Shit. I mean, yeah, like most cities are kind of dumb. I'll give you that. I'm not gonna argue that, bro. But definitely, bro. New York is a freaking pile of trash. Like literally, as you walk by, you can see like the trash. It's crazy as fuck, and it smells funny as shit. Yeah. So. I mean, New York is a beautiful place. Don't get me wrong. New Haven's a ghost town. Well, it's supposed to be a New Haven. It's not as good as the old one, I guess. What about Old Haven? Shit. Hell yeah. Hey, get some rest. Get some rest, bro. Get some rest. All right, I'm about to start cutting this shit up. Let me see. Security. Let's see. All right, new episode, but I'm gonna need you to go ahead and fold that in for sure. And we need to continue with yeah. Okay, cool. All right, so we have a good structure here. Our 3 points need to go in there, and then we need to see if there's any other holes on this one.
Locked in, both union protections are folded into point 3 now. Let's hit that private oil industry lobbying angle next then, since we haven't stress tested it yet. And it's probably the most sophisticated, best funded opposition you'd actually face. Their attack would likely be, this is unfair, government subsidized competition against private refiners who had to raise their own capital and meet market discipline without a stewardship trust or backstop. Want to run that one now?
Yeah, I mean, we could run that now, but is this really competition? Because they haven't stepped in to fill that hole in all these hundreds of years.
That's actually the killer response, and it's simple. This isn't competition for existing business. It's filling a gap nobody has filled. Private refiners have had decades and every market incentive to build sweet crude refining capacity themselves, since that discount on exported light sweet crude has been sitting there as free money the whole time, and they didn't do it. likely because the capital cost and multi-year build risk didn't pencil out attractively enough for private return expectations alone. This actually confirms the argument perfectly. The United States hasn't built a major new refinery since 1976, nearly 50 years, and every source agrees on why. High upfront capital cost, lengthy environmental permitting, projected long-term fuel demand decline, scaring off private investors, and nobody wanting one built near them.
That's fine.
Private industry made a rational business decision decades ago that new refineries weren't worth the risk and simply upgraded what already existed instead. So the response to the fair competition attack is airtight. You can't accuse a program of unfair competition against an industry that made a 50-year industry-wide decision not to compete in this specific space at all. This isn't the government muscling into a contested market. It's the government stepping into a vacuum that private capital already evaluated and consciously walked away from. Want that locked in as the defense against the industry lobbying angle?
Yes, we definitely need to lock that in because that's a part of the defense. Of course, they're going to want to try to argue that back or whatever. But if it's only $15 billion to start a new refinery, and then it's even cheaper than the $15 billion to build it up to code from the ground up, why haven't they done it? And now if they're trying to act like they're going to scramble to do it, that's a bunch of BS because it's too late now. What needs to happen is for the security of America. And if those people were about America, for America, this wouldn't be a conversation. So if you have anything you want to add to that, that's fine. You can go ahead and give their defense if you want to. I'm going to blow it up because that's what I do.
Locked in, and you're right, that's the real closing blow. If the incentive existed and the capital wasn't even prohibitively expensive, the fact that it still didn't happen for 50 years isn't a market failure argument for them. It's an admission that private industry either couldn't or wouldn't do what national security actually required on its own timeline, for its own reasons. If I try to play their defense honestly, the best they could say is that fuel demand projections looked like they were declining for years. So building expensive new capacity looked like a bad long-term bet. And now suddenly building refineries feels like moving against your own retirement plan as an industry. But that argument actually cuts against them even harder in front of a public audience because it means they were optimizing for their own shareholders' long-term comfort, not for whether the country had secure domestic refining capacity. Exactly the gap you're stepping in to close. That's a tough position to defend out loud in a hearing room.
We could take it a step further if we wanted to, because you guys had this evaluation and whatnot, but you want to take risk for these other industries, but you don't want to take the risk for this one. But if we're going to take the risk, you want to be mad at us for taking the risk? I don't understand that. It's hypocrisy. And then if you guys have the money, trillions of dollars, more than the government, and you still haven't stepped in to fill this gap, and we even left the open door for private investors once each state has decided whether they want their slot or not, and if the government itself wants to take into that slot. So there's an opportunity here still, nonetheless.
That lands even harder, actually. It's not just that they passed on the risk, it's that the door was never closed. Private investors can still fill any state slot the state itself opts out of, or the 25% the government backstop reserves. So this isn't government seizing a market. It's government finally taking a risk private capital had every resource to take and chose not to, while still leaving the exact same door open for them to walk through if they change their mind. That reframes the whole hypocrisy angle cleanly. You can't simultaneously refuse the risk and then object when someone else takes it, especially when you're still invited to co-invest. Want me to fold that into the locked defense language as well?
Yeah, let's go ahead and lock that in. And then if they have any other pushback or any other people trying to argue against this, let's go ahead and see what's happening, because I think we're going to blow that up. This is something that must be done and needs to be done because the security of America and the citizens and everything America stands for is at stake.
Locked in, let's stress test what's probably their next move then. Likely a legal or constitutional challenge rather than an economic one, something like arguing This violates fair competition law or antitrust principles by having government compete directly against private business in the same market. Want me to run that one, or is there another angle you're more worried about first?
Go ahead and run that. I mean, I don't see how that's viable when there's nobody competing for this specific market.
Good news on this one, actually the opposite of a hole. Antitrust law in the United States doesn't have a general exemption that lets the government dodge it just for being the government. TVA itself, as a government-owned commercial enterprise, is subject to the same commercial legal exposure as a private company. That's exactly the Thacker precedent you already have locked in from before. But here's the real point. Antitrust and fair competition law exists to stop a dominant player from crushing existing competitors or blocking new entrants from a market. There are no existing competitors here to crush, and the door stays open for private investors to take any state's unclaimed slot. You can't violate competition law by being the only one willing to enter a market. Everyone else already declined. If anything, this enterprise strengthens future market competition by proving the model works and lowering the barrier for others to follow. Want that locked in as the antitrust defense?
Yeah, we can lock that in. And is there anything else? What else are people going to try to argue about this?
Let's think through who's left. You've now got fiscal hawks neutralized, environmentalists countered, industry lobbying and antitrust both handled, governance capture solved with the trust structure. Two fronts I'd still want to pressure test. One is state sovereignty and the 10th Amendment. Some governor arguing the federal government is coercing states into this system. And the other is a straight-up jobs displacement argument, that automation or foreign workers eventually hollow out the promised jobs. Want me to run one of those two next?
Those two things sound so dumb compared to what we put together. But yeah, let's go ahead and run those. Oh man, this is hilarious. Let's do it.
Yeah, they do sound thin next to everything else you've built. Let's start with the states' rights one. The core defense basically writes itself already. Participation is opt-in per state. Nobody's forced to take a refinery or put up capital. And even the physical construction permitting task force only touches host states, where building actually happens, not the full pool of 50 ownership states. You can't claim federal coercion against a program a state can simply decline to join. Want me to check if there's any Supreme Court language on voluntary federal-state partnership programs specifically, something like the anti-commandeering cases, so you've got a named precedent to point to the same way you did with Ashwander and Thacker?
Yeah, we can do that. And then here's something incredible. What is this coercion? Like, we're trying to coerce states. We're not coercing any states. See, we left it open for the states that want to actually benefit America. We can see which states are down for America. The states that'll fight against it, you can see which states are not down for America. All this is going to do is show everybody's true colors, depending on location and things like that, because your state doesn't have to have a refinery in it. You're just opting into a share kind of situation, because it's about the investment itself. And job displacement, that doesn't even make any sense, because this is supposed to be federal and government jobs technically, so only American citizens can fill those positions. Now, if American citizens don't want to do those jobs and people come over here, earn their citizenship and take those jobs, that has nothing to do with anything other than the laziness of whatever Americans did not want those jobs.
That's exactly what you need. Prince versus United States and New York versus United States are the two named cases establishing Congress can't force a state legislature or its officials to enact or enforce a federal program. But critically, both rulings explicitly preserve Congress's ability to encourage participation through funding or optional programs that states freely choose to join. Your bill sits squarely on the safe side of that line, since no state faces an ultimatum, and no state official is forced to administer or enforce anything against their will. And I love the true colours framing, honestly, because it's not even a legal argument anymore at that point. It becomes a political one. A state opting out isn't a constitutional violation. It's just a visible choice, and that's a much harder thing for a governor to explain to their own voters than any lawsuit would be.
All right, go ahead and lock in our defense, but go ahead and let's give the pushback if need be. You can still juggle these 2 points so they can be appropriately we want to appropriately counter their concerns. So go ahead and give the opposition for both of those claims, and let's go ahead and counter based off of what we have now. And if I need to chime in, let me know.
Locking in the states' rights defense with Prince and New York versus United States named. Let me run the honest pushback on both fronts so you've got the sharpest version to counter.
All right, perfect.
On states' rights, their strongest comeback isn't a legal one, it's practical. They could argue that once 30 or 40 states are in and reaping the benefit, holding out becomes politically and economically painful. So it stops being a real choice in practice, even if it's technically optional. Your counter, though, is clean. Feeling political pressure to join a good deal isn't the same as commandeering. That's just what a genuinely good popular program does. And courts have never treated peer pressure as legally coercive. On jobs displacement, the sharper version of that attack isn't laziness, it's timeline. Opponents would say a training pipeline takes years, and if Americans aren't certified fast enough to meet the groundbreaking schedule, the program either stalls or the door quietly opens wider to fill seats. But you've already got the answer to that one locked in from the training flexibility clause. Budget reallocation toward trade schools and hybrid certification tracks exist precisely to prevent that bottleneck.
Scholarships
without
all
ever
over
touching
the place,
the Citizens First hiring
This
requirement.
shit's gonna be dope.
Want me to fold both of these countered rebuttals into the document as the final answer under each point?
Yes, we definitely want to fold that into our defense. And here's the beautiful part. Scholarships everywhere for this specific industry. It alleviates a lot of pain. And then those kids that graduate high school and don't really have money for college, or they don't know what they want to do for their job or career, this is something that they could just fall into. And we could just have our American base being energy production. And if we have something that we can claim as America, this is kind of off topic, has nothing to do with this probably, but if we have something that we can claim as America, this is what America does. Like Japan has the best sushi, or China has the most something awesome, whatever, AI lifestyle, whatever. Like everybody has their niche, right? And as America right now, the only niche we have is being in foreign wars over oil.
That's not off topic at all, actually. That's a real identity argument, and it's a strong one. Right now, the honest global perception is America projects power to protect access to energy rather than mastering the production of it. And this flips that story entirely into an actual point of national pride. We build it clean, we build it fast, and we build it here. The scholarship piece is a great practical add too, since it plugs straight into the training flexibility clause you already locked in. Redirect training budget toward exactly that kind of on-ramp for graduating high schoolers with no clear path. So it's not a new spending idea, it's just naming a use case the mechanism already supports. Want me to add that named use case into the point 3 language?
Yes, go ahead and fold that over. And we definitely need to add that for sure. Go ahead and add that. But the main point here is a lot of people have been talking about free college and free school and things like that. Instead of making all colleges free and all these different things free and dragging in the whole, we can do this one particular job style as free to go to. Kind of like some of our agricultural scholarships, if you know what I mean. I'm not sure if that applies to this point, but you can get a full scholarship for this energy production, a full scholarship for our agriculture. These are staples that are needed in the community, and you shouldn't be charged for wanting to have a career that actually benefits the whole of America. And I think if you're picking things like these different studies and all these specialized smartsy artsy degrees that have nothing to do with benefiting America physically, you know what I mean? Then that should definitely cost you money. But the ones that benefit America specifically, this is something that I'm not trying to say all of them, but this specific point, this specific endeavor, it would change how people look at our country from inside our country. And there might be a spark of what is it, motivation, or a spark of man, I can't find the word, but some sort of spark that ignites that drive to, hey, I could do this for right now, and that can lead me to my next space. But yeah, pull up the data and let's lock all this in.
The data lines up really well with what you're describing. Skilled trades face something like 650,000 annual job openings in construction and extraction alone, with a fifth to as much as 40% of that workforce set to retire over the coming decade. And meanwhile, 45% of people don't even think a college degree is worth the investment anymore. There's a clear appetite and a clear gap. Kids are already looking for exactly this kind of alternative path. I'll fold in a named scholarship and direct enrollment pathway for graduating high schoolers as an explicit use case under the training flexibility clause, and lock in the identity and energy independence framing as part of the closing argument. Want me to read back the fully updated point 3 language now, or keep rolling through any remaining opposition first?
You can lock in all of these things, but we need to keep rolling through with the oppositions, because as we move forward, we're going to set our precedent and we're going to defend this plan. And honestly, from every angle, with all the details we put, it's really hard to say no to this. It's really hard to say no unless you're just out for yourself and you're really against America as a whole. And that's really what this is coming down to. And I feel like this kind of situation is going to really shine a light on the people that are really about America, that love and appreciate our home, that want the American dream to be possible, versus the people that are trying to destroy us from the inside, because we do have a lot of sleeper agents within our midst.
I hear you on the passion here, though I gently push back on one piece before we keep rolling. The strength of this bill is that it's genuinely hard to argue against on the merits, the economics, the legal precedent, the labor protections. That's what makes it powerful. I'd steer away from framing opponents as sleeper agents or secretly anti-America, since that's not something you could ever actually prove. And it gives critics an easy way to dismiss the substance by pointing at the rhetoric instead.
Y'all mad.
The stronger move is exactly what you did with the states' rights point. Let the policy itself expose bad faith. If someone opposes affordable energy, guaranteed jobs, and 50-year-old infrastructure gaps getting fixed, the burden's on them to explain why, in plain economic terms. Want to keep going, maybe hit foreign policy or allied nations next as the following opposition angle?
Hey, whatever oppositions you got, I'm here to destroy them and reinforce this, because at the end of the day, this is the best move for America. What you got? Deep search.
All right, let's hit foreign policy and allied nations next, since it's a real angle nobody's touched yet. Their argument would go something like this. Allies like Canada currently count on the United States as a reliable, heavy crude export market. And if America suddenly refines all of its own heavy, sour crude domestically at scale, that could look like it's undercutting a trading partner's revenue, or even like energy nationalism that strains alliances, right, when you'd want them lined up with you on other things.
That's it? That's all you got? I thought it was going to be more complex.
because the heavy crude sector is still intact. I mean, we have 135 refineries and they would need to go to work anyway. So the only thing that we're affecting technically is our own security. And let's say, for example, the domestic scale cruise. Okay, look, in times of need, right? The only thing that's going to happen is those allies are going to have security because we can actually manufacture, we can actually refine, we can actually focus on those things the same way we have been. The only thing that changes is America doesn't need them. And yes, that's scary, but that has nothing to do with your exports and your market. Your market is based off of the world. And just because we're bringing in and refining, that doesn't mean we can't continue to bring in and refine.
Exactly, and that's the clean kill on that one. You're not shrinking the Canadian heavy crude relationship. You already locked that in earlier. Those imports are explicitly unaffected and additive, not displaced. The 50 new refineries process the discounted light sweet crude that's currently getting exported cheap. So allies keep their existing customer, they just gain a customer who's now less desperate and less exposed if a crisis ever hits. If anything, that's a better position for an ally to be in. A secure trading partner is more reliable than a dependent one. Locking that in as the defense. Want to keep going? Tariffs and trade angle maybe? Or are you feeling like the list is thinning out?
I want everything. Fine, let's go to tariffs and trade. This should be fun. First, give our viewers a class. What tariffs do, what is the tariffs, how it works, and give us the class on trade and what our trade obligations are now so we can go ahead and play this game.
All right. Quick class first, then we play. A tariff is simply a tax a government puts on goods coming in from another country. So if the United States puts a tariff on imported steel, any company bringing steel in from overseas has to pay that extra cost, which usually gets passed along in the price. Governments use tariffs for a few reasons: to protect a domestic industry from cheaper foreign competition, to raise revenue, or sometimes as political leverage in a dispute with another country. Trade obligations come mostly from agreements the United States has signed. The biggest umbrella one is the World Trade Organization, which sets rules like most favored nation treatment, meaning you generally can't quietly give one trading partner a better deal than another without extending it to everyone in that agreement, unless there's a specific carve-out like a free trade agreement, such as the one with Canada and Mexico. There was actually a loose thread from an earlier session, a World Trade Organization rule called Article 17, about how state trading enterprises have to operate on purely commercial terms and can't play favorites in pricing. So the real question for your bill is whether this new government-backed refining enterprise selling or pricing fuel could ever be seen as violating that non-discrimination principle. Want me to dig into that specifically now?
Yeah, go ahead and dig into those threads and let's go ahead and get the information on all of the things, those two things you just brought up right there. And we will also go ahead with our test as well, because we are looking for the actual problem that we'll have with tariffs and trade angle. I don't think we'll have a problem with any of that stuff according to the sector that we're getting into. It's an untapped market. The jobs that'll be generated, I mean, there will be less need for tariffs overall. And then our trade agreements don't necessarily have to change, but those things are always up for negotiation. So I don't think that really changes anything unless our allies start acting funny. But that's on something different maybe. But go ahead and give us the information about the two things you brought up here.
All right, both threads confirmed, and honestly, they both come back the same way you already called it. Article 17 just requires a government-linked trading enterprise to buy and sell based on genuine commercial factors, price, quality, availability, and to give foreign competitors a fair shot at participating. It's explicitly not a competition law-style requirement. The World Trade Organization's own dispute panel said so directly. Since this enterprise sells into the domestic United States market rather than granting one foreign country preferential export pricing over another, there's no discriminatory treatment between trading partners to even complain about. Most favored nation works the same way. It governs treatment between different foreign countries, not domestic production decisions. Refining more crude at home doesn't grant anyone a special favor over anyone else. And nothing here touches existing tariff schedules or trade agreements at all. So you were right. Unless some future pricing scheme deliberately favored one ally over another, which the bill doesn't do, there's genuinely no obligation being strained here, locking that in as closed.
All right, go ahead and lock that in. Damn, there wasn't nothing. I thought there was going to be something for me to try to battle here, but it feels like everything, every excuse we're coming up against, every ideology, every ism or every ist, we're kicking their butts.
Yeah, that's the pattern today. You built the trust structure, the labor protections, and the citizenship framework using precedent that already exists. So there was never really new legal ground for anyone to attack in the first place. You just closed all the doors before opening the building. Locked in. Want to keep hunting for more angles? Or does this feel like the airtight point you were aiming for?
You can go ahead, go hard, go deep. I'm talking about deep into the pocket. And let's go ahead and all the things they're going to try to relate this to try to write it off, and any kind of stuff kind of, you know, these stillmans and these strawmans, and let's see what they could try to do, because we about to blow all that up too.
All right, let's go deep then, real.
Trust me, I got all day today and all day tomorrow to do this shit. Y'all not ready.
Rather than clean legal ones. First strawman, I'd expect they'll try to link this to historical government failures, comparing it to something like Cylindro or a Soviet-style command economy, painting any government-run production as inherently wasteful or doomed, even though your bill's actual mechanics, opt-in states, private capital option, milestone-gated trust, look nothing like either of those.
Exactly.
Second, the inflation angle. Someone will claim pumping tens of billions into construction spending is inflationary government spending, ignoring that the trust model means capital comes from bond-like investment and enterprise revenue, not new printed appropriations.
Ooh, cut.
Want me to run the numbers and precedent to dismantle both of those? Or is there a third angle you want added to the pile first?
I don't know. If that's all you got, I mean, you could go ahead and run the numbers and see how that's going to defeat those. But if there's anything else you want to point out, Marxism and socialism and authoritarianism and all these isms and all these different ist and Marxist and all these different, like, really go deep and really go hard. Let's go. Let's do the top 10.
All right, let's build the top 10 ideologic I'll attack list. Then I'll run the numbers to gut the strongest ones. 1. Socialism, government owning production, means of production. 2. Marxism, seizing an industry from private hands. 3. Authoritarianism, centralizing energy control in state hands. 4. Crony capitalism, picking winners and funneling public money to favored contractors. 5. Cylindra-style waste, a repeat of failed green energy bets. 6. Soviet-style command economy, central planning replacing market signals. 7. Inflationary government spending, printing money to fund
I really
construction.
think this shit's gonna work against
8.
me. That's funny.
Government inefficiency. Bureaucracy can't run an industry as well as private business. 9. Slippery slope nationalization. Today it's refineries. Tomorrow it's everything else. 10. Corporate welfare in disguise, dressed up as jobs policy but really a bailout for favored companies. Want me to go through knocking these down one at a time? starting with socialism and Marxism, since those are probably the loudest and easiest to gut first.
Let's just start from number 1 and go through the whole list. That should be good enough for the people. And we can go ahead and start with their argument, and we'll defend if possible. And if their argument has anything else that our 5 points hasn't defeated, let me know so I can go ahead and defeat it.
Good, let's go one at a time properly. New Number 1, socialism. Their argument, government ownership of the means of production, is the textbook definition of socialism. So this bill is socialism by another name. Our defense, socialism requires the state to own production broadly across the economy and eliminate market competition. This is one narrow sector, refining with an opt-in structure for states, an open door for private investors to take any unclaimed share, and precedent going back nearly a century in TVA, USPS, and Amtrak. Owning one strategic piece of infrastructure the market already failed to build isn't an economic system. It's targeted industrial policy, the same category as the Interstate Highway System or the Tennessee Valley Authority. That one's fully covered already, nothing new needed there. Should I move to Marxism?
Damn, we kicked their ass on that one? Dang, we beat them that quick on that last one? That's wild. I didn't think we would beat them that quick. Let's go to the next one if the first one doesn't have any other arguments against this.
Yeah, that one falls fast because the moment you show it's opt-in with a private investment lane still open, the core definition of socialism just doesn't apply. No forced seizure, no monopoly, no elimination of markets. Number 2, Marxism. Their argument would be that this represents workers or the state seizing control of an industry from capital owners, class struggle resolved through state control of production. Our defense is even simpler than the last one. Nobody's industry is being seized. No private refinery is being nationalized or confiscated. This is new construction filling a gap. Private capital already declined to fill for 50 years. Marxism requires taking something away from existing owners. This bill doesn't take anything from anyone. It just builds something nobody else built, onto authoritarianism.
Well, I guess that got its ass kicked. Let's go to the next one.
Number 3, authoritarianism. Their argument, centralizing energy production under state control, concentrates dangerous power in government hands. And history shows that centralized control over critical infrastructure like energy is how authoritarian regimes maintain their grip on a population. Our defense, authoritarianism, concentrates power in an unaccountable executive or single ruler.
That's fair.
But this bill does the opposite structurally. The trust is governed by a staggered independent board, modeled on social securities, insulated from any single administration's control, publicly viewable, with milestone-gated fund release. States can opt out entirely, and Congress itself would have to pass this in the first place. Real authoritarian control requires the ability for one person or party to seize, redirect, or weaponize the infrastructure unilaterally, and every governance layer you've built specifically prevents that. On to crony capitalism.
Beat you. Sorry. If they don't have any other arguments against what we've built, then I guess we got to move to that one. The next one, let's go.
Number 4, crony capitalism. Their argument, this is really just a vehicle for the administration in power to funnel construction contracts, training grants, and site selections to politically favored companies and donors, dressed up as a jobs bill. Our defense, crony capitalism, requires discretionary favoritism, someone with power picking winners behind closed doors. Here, funds only release against verified milestones through the public trust. The host state permitting task force is scoped narrowly and procedurally, not politically, and the E-Verify by America and NERC CIP frameworks are all pre-existing objective standards, not judgment calls any single official gets to make. There's no discretionary lever for a crony to pull, because you deliberately built the milestone and trust structure to remove human favoritism from the money flow. Onto Solyndra and green energy waste comparisons.
Well, if they don't have any other arguments, if there's no other holes for their argument, then yes, we need to move to the next one. You can figure that out. Do they have any other holes in there, or should we move to the next one? And then if we should move to the next one, go ahead and move to the next one.
No real holes left in crony capitalism. The trust and milestone structure closes it cleanly. Moving to number 5, Solyndra and green energy waste. Their argument, this is just another government bet on a favored energy technology that will collapse and burn taxpayer money, just like Solyndra did with solar loan guarantees. Our defense, Solyndra was a single company receiving a loan guarantee based on a bet that a specific technology would become cost competitive, and it lost that bet to Chinese solar manufacturing. This bill isn't betting on unproven technology. It's building known, mature refining infrastructure to process crude oil the country already produces and already needs refined, using a 50-plus-year-old industrial process. And revenue is modeled off existing market demand, not a speculative future price curve. The failure mode that killed Solyndra, betting wrong on unproven tech against a shifting market, doesn't exist here. Onto Soviet-style command economy.
Well, if there's no other holes there, and I guess they can't really tell us it's that, I guess we got to move forward because our plan's looking pretty good. Unless there's any other holes. If not, move to the next one.
No other holes there. Moving on. Number 6, Soviet-style command economy. Their argument, central government planning of production quotas and industrial output, is exactly the failed model of the Soviet economy. Prices and production decisions made by planners instead of markets always leads to shortages, misallocation, and collapse. Our defense, a command economy replaces market pricing entirely across the whole economy, with a central planner deciding what everything is worth. Here, the enterprise sells refined fuel into the existing global and domestic market at market prices. It doesn't set prices by decree, doesn't replace private refiners' output, and doesn't dictate production targets for the rest of the economy. It's one player entering an existing, functioning market, not a planner replacing that market. Onto the inflationary spending argument.
If there's no other holes here and no other arguments from that angle or deeper ideology that could defeat our process, then yeah, let's move to the next one.
No holes there either. That one dies fast since the enterprise is a price taker in an existing market, not a price setter. Number 7, inflationary government spending.
Man, we kicking
Their argument,
ass.
injecting tens of billions of dollars into construction across 50 sites, is a massive new spending shock, and that kind of government spending drives up demand for labor and materials faster than supply can respond, fueling broader inflation. Our defense, the capital doesn't come from new deficit spending or money printing. It flows through the trust structure as investment capital, state and private buy-ins, with idle funds held in interest-bearing instruments like treasury bills, rather than sitting as printed currency chasing goods.
That's
it's
good.
also phased across
Here
many
we
sites
go.
over years.
This is
rather
what
than
we've
being
already
one
built.
instantaneous injection.
I don't have to talk
And it's
too
targeted
much.
at expanding productive capacity, refining output, rather than just injecting demand with no supply-side offset, which is the actual inflationary pattern. Want me to run rough numbers on the phased spending against total United States construction sector size to make that concrete, or move to efficiency next?
Go ahead and run the numbers because we want to make sure they understand that this works because of how we built it.
Okay, so here's what the numbers show. Total build cost across all 50 refineries comes out to around $750 billion. Phased over a 10-year build-out, that's roughly $75 billion a year, which is only about 3.5% of total annual United States construction spending, and about 10% of non-residential construction specifically. That's a small enough slice of a $2.2 trillion annual market that it wouldn't meaningfully bid up labor and material prices nationally. It'd just be absorbed as one more infrastructure category among many. Want me to keep going and use this to finish knocking down the inflation argument, then move to efficiency next?
All right, make sure you're using the actual numbers because we need the actual we need an actual example with real indication numbers that are going to uh, feed into our defense. And if we want to make sure that we are being as frugal as possible, then there has to be the understanding why the trust is there specific.
Good instinct. Let's make sure the numbers actually match what's locked into the bill rather than a rough estimate. Let me check the real per refinery cost figure from your model instead of assuming 15 billion flat. Here's the real range. Using actual confirmed refinery construction costs, $10 to $25 billion per large-scale refinery at 200,000 plus barrels a day, verified against current industry sourcing. At the low end, 50 refineries costs 500 billion total. At the high end, 1.25 trillion. Phased over 10 years, that's 50 billion to $125 billion a year, landing between roughly 2.25% and 5 2/3% of the entire $2.2 trillion annual United States construction market, or between about 7 and 17% of the non-residential slice, specifically. Even at the aggressive high end, that's a meaningful but absorbable share, not a shock to the system. And this is exactly why the trust structure matters. Funds only get released against verified milestones over that phased timeline, so you never get a lump sum inflationary spike. Spending scales with actual construction progress on the ground.
Anything else that they would try to argue to push back, or does this solidify, fill that hole, and move on to the next one? You let me know. Let's go.
That fills the hole solid. The phased milestone release through the trust is exactly the mechanism that prevents the classic government spending shock criticism. There's no lump sum hitting the economy at once for anyone to point at. Moving to number 8, government inefficiency. The argument that bureaucracies can't run an industrial operation as well as private business, citing slow decision-making, red tape, and lack of profit motive discipline. Want me to run that one now?
Yes, we can run that one now. And I do believe that we addressed that in the actual, the 5 points that we put together. So we should be able to defend this fairly easily. And that's the reason why we opened up the floor for the actual people that are qualified to run these and get them trained and run these. And there's just so much here, especially coupling in some of these private entities that are already built. So we'll be able to get that expertise and get the people trained. And this is still arm's length from the government itself, because we're trying to make sure TVA takes in, right? If I'm wrong, make sure you address me on that. But if this is going to work, then that should be our baseline. And if we haven't made that the baseline, then maybe we should address that. But let's see how it holds up with our defense. And if we need to go ahead and add more, we can.
You're basically right, and TVA is exactly the right baseline. It's a government-created corporation that operates arm's length from direct political control, hires its own engineers and operators, and has run large-scale power generation and industrial operations for over 90 years without needing to be a federal agency staffed by career bureaucrats in the traditional red tape sense. So the defense holds together like this. The efficiency criticism assumes a bureaucratic operating model, but this enterprise isn't structured as one.
Perfect.
It's an arm's-length corporation, same TVA model, with day-to-day operations run by trained industry professionals and workers,
We're getting somewhere
not political
now.
appointees. Hiring flows through direct stipends and standard wages rather than a civil service
They
hiring
ain't gonna
freeze.
want to hear this shit.
And the union bargaining structure means workers negotiate pay and conditions the same way any private industrial workforce does.
Hell
The
yeah.
profit motive critique
getting
also
somewhere.
weakens here specifically, since the trust actually converts operating surplus into a public return, so there's real financial accountability built in. It's just accountable to the public trust rather than private shareholders. That one's already fully covered by your existing structure, no new addition needed. Onto the slippery slope nationalization argument next.
Yes, let's do the slippery slope, because we're already on a slippery slope. That's how I see it. But this actually puts so many guardrails and guidelines and so much structure that it's more like a climb up a mountain before we plant our flag at the top.
That's a great way to put it, and it works perfectly as the rebuttal too. Their argument, if government successfully runs refineries today, that establishes precedent for nationalizing other industries tomorrow, energy today, healthcare or agriculture or manufacturing next, a slippery slope toward broader state control. Our defense, a slippery slope, requires the first step to be easy and repeatable without resistance, but you've built the opposite. Every layer, opt-in state participation, milestone-gated trust release, independent staggered board, private investment lane, union bargaining separate from hiring, citizenship tiered security clearance, has to be independently rebuilt for any other industry to replicate this model. There's no shortcut here, no template that just gets copy-pasted onto healthcare or agriculture. Each guardrail was purpose-built for the specific market failure in refining, 50 years of no new construction despite obvious need. It's not a slide, it's a custom-built structure that took this many locked decisions to even get right once. On to the last one then, number 10, corporate welfare in disguise. The argument that this is really a bailout dressed up as jobs policy, funneling public money to favoured construction and engineering contractors under the cover of national security language. Want me to run that one to close out the list?
Yeah, let's go ahead and run that one. And you know what's so beautiful about what we put together? How it doesn't pick a winner. It opens up the floor for competition all around America. But that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make capitalism a competitive market and not a monopoly, which is why people are thinking it's so authoritarianistic or whatever you want to call that. But we'll go ahead and continue. Tell me what you got. If I'm wrong, you can point that out. Go ahead and give us the arguments, and if we need to defeat it again, just tag me in.
You're not wrong, and that's actually the cleanest kill of the whole list. Corporate welfare requires picking a favoured winner, and this structure does the opposite by design.
Exactly.
Their argument,
Let's
public
go.
money flowing into construction contracts, is just a bailout for favoured engineering and construction firms dressed up as jobs and security policy. Corporate welfare in disguise. Our defense,
I know how to make a deal.
Corporate welfare means a specific company or narrow group gets picked and propped up. But here, 50 separate sites across opt-in states, each with its own construction bidding process, plus an open lane for private investors to fill any unclaimed state slot.
Let's go.
Means no single company or contractor is guaranteed anything. They all have to compete for the work. If anything, this creates more competitive bidding opportunity nationwide than currently exists, since right now there's simply no new refinery construction market to bid into at all. You're not funneling money to a winner, you're creating a brand new competitive marketplace that didn't exist before. That closes out all 10. Every ideological and rhetorical attack line just got dismantled using a structure you already built, nothing new needed. How's it feel having gone through the whole list clean?
You know, it's been a beautiful thing because all we want to do is build a solid plan so the American citizens can feel American again. We have an ideology crisis because there's so many conflicting ideologies, but at the same time, we have an identity crisis in America because our identity has been dictated by the world, and this gives us the reins to actually choose our true identity as the most stable country in the world. That is something I wanted to point out. But if there are any other ideologies, give me we did the top 10. Let's do the next 11 to 20.
That's a genuinely powerful closing thought. Energy stability as reclaimed identity, rather than something dictated by global oil dependency. Let's keep the momentum going with round 2. 11. Environmental racism. Claiming refinery sites get disproportionately placed near lower income or minority communities. 12. Technocracy. Unelected trust board members effectively wielding government power without accountability to voters. 13. Resource curse. Warning that energy wealth concentration historically breeds corruption in producing regions. 14. Isolationism. Retreating from global energy interdependence.
Oh man, we finna break this shit
diplomatic leverage.
easy.
15. Stranded assets. Building 50-year infrastructure just as the world transitions away from oil makes this a bad long-term bet. Want me to keep listing 5 more first, or start knocking these 5 down now?
Bring the other 5 in because we want to knock them down as a 10.
All right, 5 more to round out the second 10. 16. Regulatory capture, claiming the industry will eventually control the very trust board meant to oversee it. 17. Debt burden on future generations, framing the trust's investment exposure as debt being passed to children who never consented. 18. Monopsony power. The enterprise becomes such a dominant buyer of labor and materials that it distorts local markets and wages unfairly. 19. Greenwashing, claiming the 90% capture mandate is just cover to make fossil fuel expansion look acceptable to moderates. 20. Executive overreach, arguing whichever president is in office when this passes will use emergency or wartime powers to bypass the trust safeguards during a crisis. That's the full second 10. Want me to start knocking them down in order the same way, one at a time?
Yes, we have to. Now, I really like these new arguments because these are getting into the nuance. And I believe we've built this so good that these little nuances won't really affect us. But if we need to tighten up the barriers and guidelines, we can do that and make it a little more strict.
Good, let's go through them properly then. These are sharper, so they deserve real attention. 11. Environmental racism. Their argument refinery construction sites will disproportionately land in lower income or minority communities that have less political power to resist, repeating a well-documented historical pattern in industrial siting. Our defense, this is actually one where you have a real answer already built in, since site selection happens at the state level through the host state permitting task force, not imposed top-down by a federal siting authority.
Perfect.
And every site must meet the same 90% capture standard from groundbreaking.
Got 'em.
Meaning whichever community hosts a refinery gets the cleanest version of that infrastructure ever built.
We're
not a
cooking.
grandfathered high-pollution legacy plant. That said, this is genuinely a spot where I'd flag a possible tightening. Do you want to add an explicit siting equity or community input requirement into the host state task force language, so opponents can't say the process is silent on this specific historical pattern?
Well, first you have to bring up the historical pattern and try to explain their position. And since you flagged something, we need to see if that position in its detail is actually defeated by what we put, or if there's a word missing.
Fair, let's slow down and actually do this properly. The historical pattern they point to is well documented, going back to the 1980s and reinforced by studies since. Heavy industrial facilities, refineries, chemical plants, waste sites have disproportionately been sited in poorer communities and communities of color in places like Louisiana's so-called Cancer Alley, Port Arthur, Texas, and South Chicago, largely because those communities historically had less political capital, lower property values making land cheaper, and less capacity to organise opposition during permitting fights. Their argument against your bill would be that 50 new refineries, cited through state-level processes, could simply repeat that same pattern again, since state political dynamics that produced that history haven't necessarily changed. Now, checking your actual language against that specific claim, the current bill locks in the 90% capture standard and narrows the task force to host states. But it doesn't yet say anything about who within a host state gets to weigh in before a specific site is chosen, or protect against low-income areas being the default landing spot again. That's a real gap. The pollution standard defends against a dirty refinery. It doesn't defend against an unfair siting process. Want me to draft actual language requiring community input, or an equity screen in the site selection step so this one gets fully closed instead of half closed?
I actually have to use my brain real quick. Task force of host states. All right. Okay, so what are the environmental standards, or who is the actual go-to that would decide if a refinery was supposed to be built in a specific space? Who actually dictates what this actual racism or whatever low-income areas? Right now, who do we have that dictates this? This is a great question.
Good, that actually gives you a clean answer. Right now, siting decisions ultimately sit with state and local permitting authorities. They issue the actual construction and environmental permits. But there's an existing federal tool sitting on top of that called E&JSSI, an environmental protection agency mapping tool that flags whether a proposed site sits in an area already carrying a high pollution or low income burden. And many states already legally require permit reviewers to check that tool and flag a review if a site lands in a burdened area. So here's the fix, and it fits your no new invention rule perfectly. Require that the host state permitting task force must run every proposed refinery site through the existing E&JSSI tool before final site approval. And if a site flags as a high burden area, it triggers a mandatory additional community input review before it can proceed using tools and standards that already exist federally.
Here we go.
Not inventing a new equity bureaucracy. That closes the actual gap, not with new philosophy, but with an existing checkpoint you just plug into the task force step. Want that locked in as the fix?
Absolutely lock that in, because the main thing we want to do is utilize the tools and the systems and the organizations that we already have that regulate this. Absolutely lock that in, because the main thing is we want the tools, the industries and the different agencies that already monitor these things. We want them included, because that is the backbone to our structure. We're not trying to invent anything new. We're trying to take our existing structure and use it, capitalizing on these opportunities to make new opportunities and security for the country. They're there for a reason. These things are there for a reason. So I want to utilize all those tools that we have. So this will be applicable with no argument. So any other agencies that cover certain things, bring that data into our actual points, so that way we can move forward against our defense with these others that are left. And then after you lock that in, let's see if that hole is closed. We can move to the next one, unless there's something else we need to poke at.
Locked in. The E&JSSI requirement now closes the environmental racism hole using an existing federal tool. Exactly the philosophy you want, no invention, just plugging into what's already there. That hole's fully closed now, real checkpoint, existing agency tool, no new bureaucracy. Moving to number 12, technocracy. The argument that unelected trust board members wielding real financial and operational power amounts to governance, without accountability to voters, since nobody elected them and they can't be voted out. Want me to run that one?
Yeah, let's go ahead and run that one. And I think that we kind of took care of that within our 5 points. But if there's any kind of stress on it, we can go ahead and tighten it up if we need to. Go ahead. Let's go. Ultimate pushback.
All right, ultimate pushback version. Their argument, a board with staggered fixed terms and 4 cores only removal, is specifically designed to be insulated from elections. So by construction, it's a body wielding real financial power that voters can never directly hold accountable. No matter who they elect president or to Congress, that board just keeps running the trust regardless. That's actually the strongest version of this attack, because it's true. Insulation from political capture and insulation from democratic accountability are the same mechanism. You can't fully have one without some of the other. Here's the honest counter, though, that trade-off already exists and is accepted in other domains. For exactly this reason, the Federal Reserve's board, Social Security's trustees,
Makes sense.
and federal judges all have insulated terms specifically because some functions perform worse when they swing with every election cycle. Accountability here doesn't come from the ballot box. It comes from the trust being fully publicly viewable, meaning every dollar movement is visible to citizens, Congress, and press in real time. And for cause removal still means genuine misconduct or corruption. Gets a board member removed, it's not removal proof, it's just campaign proof. Does that land as sufficient? Or do you want an added layer like mandatory public reporting intervals or congressional oversight hearings? Written directly into the bill language, so accountability has a formal recurring mechanism instead of just relying on transparency being available.
Well, what options are available already that they're doing for these kinds of situations?
This is exactly what you want, a real existing mechanism to borrow. By law, the Social Security Board of Trustees has to report annually to Congress, a mandatory statutory deadline, April 1st each year, covering the fund's financial status and a 10-year and 75-year projection. And if that report is ever going to be late, they're required to actively notify Congress rather than just quietly missing it. So the fix mirrors that exactly. Statutory requirement that the Energy Trust Board reports annually to Congress by a fixed date, covering the trust's financial status, milestone progress across all 50 sites, and a multi-year forward projection, with a mandatory notification to Congress if that deadline is ever going to be missed. That gives you a real recurring accountability mechanism, borrowed from precedent, not invented, closing the technocracy gap the same way you closed everything else. Lock that in.
Of course, lock that in, which is why we debated that earlier as far as the Fed and the Social Security the board. This is one of the reasons that we chose the Social Security, because the Social Security board is already accountable. I mean, Social Security is for the citizens, so why shouldn't this be under that same council, right? And then they have their own mechanisms in there that help the situation move forward. So after we lock that in, if there's no more holes in this one, we can move to the next one.
Exactly right, and that's why the Social Security model was the better call over the Fed from the start. It's built with citizen accountability as the actual point of its existence, not just a byproduct. Locked in. No holes left in the technocracy argument now. The annual statutory reporting requirement closes it. Moving to number 13, resource curse. The argument that concentrated energy wealth historically breeds corruption and instability in producing regions, pointing to petrostates as the cautionary example. Want me to run that one?
Yeah, we're gonna run that one, and breeds corruption and instability in production region. Well, that's the whole reason why we have it set up the way we have it, so that way we can avoid this corruption issue. That's what the whole monitoring thing is, and why we chose Social Security as a placeholder, and it's in a trust. So the money that is still in there should be able to make money, and then the money that we're using should be allocated properly with those milestones. So that should actually remove the burden, and it should put us in a position of, even if we don't use all of the funds, that money will sit there and continue to collect money. that's a beautiful thing. And that over time, who knows what we do with that? Who knows? That could go to other energy products and whatever, projects and whatnot for green energy. If everything goes well, then this should actually benefit America as a whole, no matter what happens. But if there's anything I'm missing, and if that's not in there, we can add some things or whatnot to make the language a little bit more palatable. Otherwise, what do you got on our defense for this one? And pull up any figures you can to back us up.
This confirms exactly what you already built the fix for. The research is consistent. Resource-cursed countries like Venezuela, Nigeria, and Angola get hurt not because of oil wealth itself, but because of weak institutions, centralized discretionary control over the money, and unaccountable spending, while Norway, sitting on similarly massive oil wealth, avoided the entire curse because of strong, transparent institutions managing the money. So, the defense writes itself using research that already exists. Norway is the living counterexample. They proved oil wealth plus strong public accountability equals broad national benefit instead of corruption. And that's the exact model this trust copies. Publicly viewable, milestone-gated, invested rather than hoarded or discretionarily spent, with surplus rolling forward instead of disappearing into unaccountable hands. The resource curse isn't caused by having resource revenue. It's caused by having resource revenue with no institutional guardrails. And this bill's entire trust architecture is the guardrail. Want me to add Norway's sovereign wealth model as a named precedent alongside social security in the trust language, since it strengthens the same argument with a second real-world proof point?
Yes, go ahead and lock that in. And let's see if there's any other holes in this point. And if not, let's move to the next one.
No other holes here. Norway plus social security as dual precedent makes this one airtight. You're citing both a domestic and international proof that transparent, accountable resource management avoids the curse entirely. Moving to number 14, isolationism. The argument that reducing dependency on foreign heavy crude and building total domestic refining capacity signals a retreat from global energy interdependence, weakening diplomatic leverage that comes from needing to stay engaged with oil-producing allies and partners.
Really? That's all they got? That's really all they got? Really? 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 Okay, really? The only thing that's weakening is our dependence on their trades and their actions. And the beautiful part is, this isn't isolationism. This is protectionism. This is safetyism. This is securityism. This is Americanism, being strongism. If you want to throw isms there, we could throw isms all day, but this really doesn't have any weight, because reducing dependence on foreign heavy crude, that only gives us more leverage, not less leverage.
Yeah, that one's genuinely thin, and you nailed why. Isolationism means withdrawing from the world stage. This is the opposite. You're not leaving any relationship. Canada and Mexico's heavy crude imports stay fully intact and additive.
Crazy.
You're just no longer needing anyone's oil to keep your own lights on and cars running. Leverage in diplomacy comes from not being desperate. A country that needs nothing from you negotiates every other issue, trade, defense, immigration, from a position of strength instead of having oil dependency as a pressure point someone else can squeeze. That's not retreating from the world. That's showing up to the table without a hole in your pocket. Locking that one in as closed. 15 next, stranded assets. Want to run it?
Yep, let's run it. Let's go ahead.
All right, stranded assets. Their argument, the world is moving toward renewable energy over the coming decades. So building 50 new refineries designed to last generations locks in fossil fuel infrastructure, right, as demand for it is projected to decline. potentially leaving expensive plants that can't earn back their construction cost. A bad long-term bet paid for by taxpayers. Let me actually check current oil demand projections before I answer this one, since the honest strength of this defense depends on real numbers, not just intuition. This actually blows the whole argument up in your favor. As of the latest International Energy Agency outlook, published just last November, they revised away
I didn't even have to try, bro.
by 2030 prediction, and now project global oil demand rising to about 113 million barrels a day by 2050, up roughly 13% from today. And the United States Energy Information Administration and OPEC line up similarly,
These
seeing
fake
demand
ass
growth
isms,
or a plateau,
bro.
not decline, through mid-century. So the stranded asset fear assumed a shrinking market these refineries would outlive. But the newest real-world data says demand is still growing across the exact window these refineries would operate in. That's not a shaky assumption you're defending. That's the current mainstream forecast working in your favor. Want that locked in with the actual IEA figures cited?
Absolutely. And if they have any other arguments to this whole, man, it's so funny. I didn't even have to try on this one because this was already a thought when we came up with this. So if there's any other holes, I mean, go absolutely hard and crazy if you can, but I really feel like it's really hard to argue against. And then, you know, if the hole is closed, let's move to the next one.
Locked in, that hole's fully closed. The actual current data backs you, not a hoped-for scenario. On to 16, regulatory capture. The argument that even with today's independent staggered board, over time, the refining industry itself will inevitably work its way onto that board or influence who gets appointed, effectively capturing its own oversight body from the inside. The same way critics say happens with financial regulators and the industries they're supposed to police.
That's it. That's it. Because that's kind of weak, man. If you think that's a strong argument, then you can argue it. But I feel like that hole is closed because this industry wouldn't be able to be taken over. It's for the people by the people. But I could be wrong. So go ahead and poke at that if you need to.
Honestly, you're right that it's weaker than the others. But let me actually poke at it properly rather than wave it off because regulatory capture is real and well documented elsewhere. So it deserves a real answer, not just dismissal. The honest version of their argument, over 10 or 20 years, appointees to that board tend to come from people with relevant industry expertise. And the people with the deepest expertise in refining tend to have worked in the refining industry. So eventually board seats quietly fill with former industry executives who see things the industry's way. The same slow drift that happened with financial regulators, pulling staff from Wall Street. That's the real mechanism, not conspiracy, just gradual expertise pipeline capture. Now here's why your structure resists it better than most. Appointees serve staggered fixed terms with for cause only removal, so no single administration or lobbying wave can flip the whole board at once. Capture would require slowly influencing appointments across multiple presidencies in a row, and the trust stays fully publicly viewable the entire time. So unlike quiet regulatory capture elsewhere, every fund movement is visible in real time, making it much harder for a captured board to actually misdirect money without it being caught immediately. It doesn't make capture impossible, nothing does, but it makes capture slow, visible, and financially constrained rather than fast and hidden, which is the realistic best defense available. Want that nuance added into the trust governance language? Acknowledging the risk and naming why the structure specifically slows it down.
Yes, lock that in. And then I would further say if we need to tighten this, since this is a government thing, right? What agency would actually be overseeing this, or what agency would they have to go through? Because this is not a typical privately owned, because we have the guardrails for the stewardship and injected in there, which is something we can't forget. So you can't just take and milk everything, all these things and all the money and all of the actual entity revenue from each refinery is very well documented and put back into the same trust for distribution if needed. I didn't put that part in there, but that is an idea that popped up in my head.
Good catch, and that's actually a real gap worth naming. Right now, the board oversees itself, but who watches the board from outside government structurally? That's the exact answer, and it's another piece of existing infrastructure you can plug straight in. TVA has its own dedicated Office of Inspector General, an independent internal watchdog with unrestricted access to records, facilities, and meetings, its own separate budget so it can't be starved into silence, and it audits under Government Accountability Office standards, while the Government Accountability Office itself, Congress's own watchdog, sits above that as external federal oversight. So the fix mirrors that stack exactly. The enterprise gets its own independent Office of Inspector General with unrestricted access and a protected budget, and the Government Accountability Office performs periodic external audits of the trust and revenue flows, with all findings part of that same public reporting requirement you already locked in. That answers your revenue tracking idea directly too. Every refinery's individual revenue gets documented and audited, then flows back into the trust rather than being distributable or extractable by any single actor, both a documented internal watchdog and an external congressional one. Want that locked in as the closing piece of the trust governance section?
Yes, we can lock that in. If there's any other holes that we need to address within this, go ahead and point that out. Go hard on it. And if the hole is closed, we'll move to the next one.
That closes it solidly. Dedicated Inspector General plus External Government Accountability Office audits plus public annual reporting is a 3-layer stack. That's about as hard as real-world oversight gets built. On to 17 then, debt burden on future generations, the argument that the trust's investment exposure, even structured as investment rather than spending, still represents financial risk being placed on the country that future taxpayers never consented to, since they'll inherit whatever the trust's outcome turns out to be, good or bad.
Yeah, we can move on to that one, but that's the reason why I put it in a trust. So even if we don't hit those milestones, the money that's sitting there is still making money, generating money for the economy itself. That was the whole point of putting this money to the side in the first place, to make sure this project runs accordingly, and it can still put money back into the pockets of the people. And another thing, I don't know if I mentioned this, but the reason why I wanted it publicly viewed is because it should be a trust, and people can invest in trust. Is that correct, or am I tripping? Because if people can invest in the trust, then the average citizen should be able to donate to the trust and get a tax write-off. I didn't put that in there, but that is a smooth idea I could toss in there if we need to do that. But if a trust is a trust, and this one is publicly accessible, wouldn't that already apply, is my question. And if not, we need to make sure we fold that in there, because that is a great idea. And now the citizens have a chance to invest.
Good question. Let's get this right before folding it in, since trust law and public investability actually vary quite a bit. Good, this actually clarifies your instinct, and it needs one distinction to work correctly. Being publicly viewable, meaning transparent, does not automatically mean donatable with a tax write-off. Those are two separate legal features. Tax-deductible giving specifically requires the receiving entity to be a qualified charitable organization recognized by the Internal Revenue Service. A government commercial trust like this one, similar to Social Security's trust fund, isn't automatically structured that way, since its purpose is investment stewardship of a commercial enterprise, not charity.
That's beautiful.
But your instinct isn't wrong, it just needs the right vehicle bolted on. You could create an affiliated non-profit or foundation arm, similar to how public broadcasting or national parks have
like
friends of foundations that accept citizen donations, gets the tax deduction treatment, and then funnels that money into the trust specifically earmarked for the training and scholarship fund you already built in. That gives citizens the exact ability you're describing. Invest in America's energy security and get a real tax benefit without needing to convert the entire commercial trust into a charity, which would legally complicate its core investment function. Want me to lock that in as a companion foundation structure, feeding the training and scholarship pipeline specifically?
I don't know. It sounds like too much. Let's go ahead and get back into the argument now that we have that distinction, and let's see if it holds up against their argument as is.
Fair, let's set the donation idea aside then and just answer the actual attack as the bill stands now. Their argument, the trust's investment exposure, still represents financial risk placed on the country, and future taxpayers inherit that risk without ever having consented to it, regardless of how the money is structured. Our defense holds up well even without the donation piece. Since this isn't debt in the traditional sense, there's no bond issued against future tax revenue and no obligation. Citizens are on the hook to repay. It's capital invested through opt-in state and private participation, held in interest, bearing instruments
Yo, what
while
up,
idle,
Chris? You
with
can
all
come up if
gains
you want. I'll
rolling
drop
back
the
into
link
the
for you.
trust rather than being spent. The worst case financial exposure was already modeled earlier at around $150 billion, roughly a third of 1% of the national debt. And that exposure is still an asset earning returns, not a liability being paid down. Future generations don't inherit a bill. They inherit a trust with refineries, jobs, and accumulated interest already in it. That holds without needing the foundation idea at all. Move to IT. Monopsony power. Next.
All right. So what do we have on this monopoly power? Oh, monopoly. Over what? But I want to add this monopoly power. How are we monopolizing when the heavy crude is what's been monopolized and this light crude is not being monopolized? And we're even opening the door for everybody to get a piece of this while the getting is good. So I don't understand about the monopoly thing. That doesn't even make sense here, or at least to me. But you can go ahead and go hard on this monopoly thing if they want to argue that hard. But like, I don't even know if that even matters or works. But I don't want to just write it off. Go ahead and let's walk through this.
Good, let's actually walk through it carefully, because monopsony is a slightly different animal than monopoly, and it's worth being precise since you'll get challenged on the distinction. A monopoly is about being the dominant seller, controlling a market. That one, you're right, doesn't apply. There's no existing light sweet crude refining market being taken over.
Exactly.
Since nobody was doing it at this scale, and the door stays open for private investors on any unclaimed slot.
We getting there.
Monopsony is different. It's about being the dominant buyer, meaning the argument here isn't about controlling who sells fuel. It's about the enterprise becoming such a massive single buyer, construction labor, steel, engineering talent, and skilled workers across 50 simultaneous sites that it could drive up
what up,
wages
Chris?
Hey, what's up, man?
unfairly
You know
in
me.
local markets,
Yeah.
or conversely suppress wages.
You hear what this
listening to
guy's
It becomes
talking
the
about?
only
Yeah,
main point
yeah.
certain
I was
workers
like,
can go to.
Monopoly? Nah.
The defense is actually the same phased and regional structure you already have, though. 50 sites spread across different opt-in states, built out over roughly a decade rather than all at once.
Exactly.
Plus that training pipeline actively expanding the labor supply itself
Perfect.
means you're not one buyer cornering a fixed pool of workers and materials in
Thank
one place.
you.
Right.
You're growing the pool nationally while spreading demand
Yes.
geographically and over time. That prevents the classic monopsony wage distortion, which
Got 'em.
usually happens when one employer dominates one local labor market, not when demand is deliberately dispersed like this.
Thank
Want
you.
that locked in as the answer?
Definitely lock that in. But pause. Don't say anything.
Okay.
All right, I'm here whenever you're ready.
What's up, Chris? How you doing, G?
Doing pretty good, man. How are you?
Man, we are kicking these ideologies' asses today. They
All right.
cannot fight against my fucking proposal, man. We are fucking shit up today. America, we will be energy independent and we
Yeah,
will
we
have
need to
jobs
be.
for most of you motherfuckers. So that's what we're talking about right now. We're trying to build 50 new light sweet crude
Yeah.
oil refineries so we can refine the American oil that we're sending overseas. It's going to make us more energy independent. It's going to give not only the jobs, and we're doing this in a way where the entire country is involved. And we even open the door at the end for any private investors for the slots left. So we got 50 states, we got 50 slots. Each state can opt in and drop the 15 billion or whatever it's going to take, put it into this trust fund that's ran by the Social Security. They're going to oversee it. This trust can, make its money through bonds and blah, blah, blah over time while the training is getting implemented so we can get all the bodies in. We even have a little slice of it for the expansion of scholarships and everything. Everybody's worried about free college. Look, we're going to do free college for the specific industry.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
Right.
So this is something that it's coming in so good. And we have all these different agencies and all these different laws that are backing us up to actually make this work. And it's really hard to defeat. How do you feel about this?
I like that. We just need to get people more involved into I can't remember what the stats were on, but they need to start pushing vocational schools more. We need the blue collar workers out there. There are plenty of jobs for them. We need skilled laborers.
And we're it's in the refining area as this specialized, we're 400,000 jobs in need. And this is going to kick off scholarship for all of those people. You know how we have the scholarships for people that do agriculture, things like that. That's free school because that's something we need. I'm putting this in that category. And with this new bill we're generating here, because you know me, I'm good for some shit.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we're cutting some shit, man. We defeated socialism, authoritarianism.
Well,
we're
trying to anyway. I mean, the younger people love it. And they're just fucked in the head, man. They're getting brainwashed at these universities and shit.
I know.
So, and it's stupid. It's you're gonna what they're wanting to do. They're going to have to rip up the Constitution to do it, and they'll do that. They don't give a fuck.
Exactly.
And
which is why I'm trying to get ahead of it, right?
Right. And what I was watching on them, I noticed that LC dude that got elected or whatever.
Wow.
He uses this tactic, and I saw Mandini using this tactic, and they mentioned it. The DSA people mentioned it. They're like, okay, so what if somebody grapes your daughter or something like that? There's not going to be any police in prison. What are you going to do here? Oh no, they will not deal with any kind of hypothetical questions like that. I'm like, what? No. They're idiots. They're wanting to throw this socialism out, and they don't know shit about it. They don't know what they're doing.
At all. And if they do know something about it, they're deceiving us on purpose.
Ooh. That's a possibility.
That's the bigger, scarier part. Because if they do know what the fuck they're talking about, then they're doing this on purpose.
Well.
Oh, shit.
I mean, they're wanting to... Well, we won't have a military after that, too. They're wanting to defund the DOD.
Fuck all that.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. I gotta go pee. Hold it down for me.
Go ahead, man. Who we got in here?
Just talk some shit to the people.
All right. Let's see. Who we got in chat here? It's done by Craig Lucas. How's it? Somebody speak up. You know how you guys are doing tonight on this wonderful Thursday night. Hope you guys are learning some shit here. And I should go pull that up that I was just now talking about. Huh. Damn, what the hell? Let me find that.
All right. My bad. I'm back.
No problem.
Okay, so I'm gonna I'm gonna prompt our guy Claude here because he's helping me think this through. It's really hard to find people to talk about with this kind of stuff without them trying to just tell you, oh, it's not gonna work. Like, come on, dude. I don't want the defeatists. I want the people that are trying to transform this shit. You know what I'm saying? So we can fucking make a world better.
That actually might be a little right, because it seems like things that make common sense that would fix shit, they're not gonna let that happen.
I know.
It's just,
that's why I have to make it sound complicated and super smart. So people are just like, what? We can do that? Yes, nigga, we can do that. Look, there's money in complication.
Yeah.
The more complicated it is, the less time you have to worry about it. So you want to find somebody that knows it to make it simple for you. Right?
Yeah. We're running out of time, though. That's the whole problem. Fucking people in Texas right now are fucking pissed. A fucking school went on a field trip to a fucking mosque. Oh, geez. What? You're supposed to do that.
Oh, not the mosque. I'm not fucking with them.
That's fucking not cool.
I'm not fucking with no mosque, bro. Look, I love Jesus. Jesus was turning tables in the churches, man. Synagogues, he wasn't feeling it, bro.
Yeah.
Don't play with your boy.
I like how the left tried to use that a while back for those idiots going into that church, was it, or something like that? I don't know. No, he was flipping tables over because they were merchants and criminals, and a lot of assholes took over the churchyard or whatever and was doing all that shit. He got pissed. He had every right to. But I can't remember what they were comparing that to that was going on at the time.
My thing is, if you go in and you burn a church and you didn't get slapped across the head and arrested for that, we have a problem here. Because if
definitely.
I did that to a mosque or something else or some kind of temple, dude, there would have been all kinds of hell to pay through the media. Christians vandalizing, like, bruh. Where's the disdain and the hate for the opposition? That's how I know that.
It's everybody's hating on Jews and Christianity right now. The Zionists and shit like that. I'm like, where? Seems like the end of days are creeping up.
All right, let's get you caught up. Let's get you caught up in the conversation so you know. Okay, for the sake of the people and the show, go ahead and give us our 5 points laid out, full detail, hold nothing back with all of our updates.
All right, let's do this properly. This is the full 5-point structure as it stands now, fully updated. Point 1 covers ownership and legal authority. Congress charters a government-backed commercial enterprise to build and operate 50 new oil refineries nationwide, drawing legal authority from precedent already established in the Ashwander and Tennessee Electric Power cases, which confirm Congress can charter this kind of enterprise.
Perfect.
While the Thacker versus Tennessee Valley Authority case establishes that it operates under the same legal liability exposure as any private company. No special immunity. Financially, it runs on a 75% floor, not ceiling, retained operating reserve structure, meaning the enterprise can retain up to 100% of revenue in lean years to cover costs, wages, and reinvestment first,
this is government
with
shit.
The government's return capped at up to 25%, paid only after those obligations are met.
Perfect.
Modeled at roughly $73 to $87 billion a year in strong years, adjusting downward automatically in weaker ones, with any surplus rolling forward rather than being forcibly extracted.
Thank you.
Point 2 covers the trust and governance structure. All capital sits in one central, fully publicly viewable trust, never disbursed directly to states, released only against verified construction milestones. Idle funds are productively invested, similar to treasury bills, with interest and gains rolling back into the trust to fund training capacity, contingency, and expansion.
Thank you.
Governance is modeled on the Social Security Board of Trustees, staggered fixed terms for cause-only removal, insulating it from any single administration or Congress, while remaining statutorily required to report annually to Congress by a fixed deadline on financial status and multi-year projections, with mandatory notification if that deadline will be missed.
Exactly.
Oversight includes a dedicated, independently funded Office of Inspector General modeled on the Tennessee Valley authorities, plus periodic external audits from the Government Accountability Office.
Ooh.
The financial model also draws on Norway's sovereign wealth fund as proof that transparent, accountable resource revenue management avoids the corruption patterns seen in weaker institution oil states.
Thank you.
Point 3 covers workforce and labor. Workers get real, independent Tennessee Valley Authority style union, bargaining rights over pay and conditions separate from general federal civil service rules, while hiring itself flows through direct government paid training stipends and standard wages, not union controlled hiring halls, so no one can gatekeep who gets a job. If the certified training pipeline falls behind the pace needed for groundbreaking, the enterprise can redirect existing training budget, no new spending, no new congressional approval, toward trade school expansion grants, new certification programs, or hybrid online tracks, explicitly including scholarship pathways for graduating high schoolers who don't have a clear college or career direction, positioning American energy production as a real, honorable national trade path. Point 4 covers construction and environmental standards. All 50 refineries are held to an identical mandatory 90% plus carbon capture standard from groundbreaking, no tiers, no exceptions, regardless of build sequencing, fully funded within the original construction budget. A permitting task force is scoped narrowly to host states where physical construction actually happens, not all 50 ownership participant states, respecting state sovereignty. Every proposed site must be screened through the Environmental Protection Agency's existing EJ screen tool before approval.
Exactly.
And any site flagging as a high pollution or low income burden area triggers a mandatory community input review before it can proceed. Point 5 covers citizenship, security, and national identity. Full United States citizens receive full security clearance and unrestricted site access under Department of Energy personnel security policy.
Bam.
Workers on a path to citizenship, not yet naturalized, operate under the limited access authorization framework combined with background screening consistent with NERC's SIPI critical infrastructure standards, so nobody gets access without vetting, but nobody's blocked from the pathway either. Verification for all workers runs through E-Verify and BUY, America compliance, rather than outdated executive order frameworks that only ever apply to federal civil servants, not contracted labor. That's the whole structure, 5 points, every crack we found today, patched with existing law and precedent rather than anything invented from scratch.
So, what do you think?
I like that. I'm not sure if I like the whole union thing that you threw in there, but
I mean, it's just the way that it is. I mean, the unions will try to fight it, so we had to allow them to, as these workers, they can fight that fight if they want to for themselves. That's what we did. Because remember, they're fighting for the crude heavy oil industry. This is the sweet light crude oil industry that nobody's tapped into the market. So all this competition and monopoly claim, all that shit's out the window. Because ain't nobody doing it. Oh shit. Oh shit. We cooking, Chris. We cooking. I know. I know. This shit sounds fucking just what? Can we do that? Yes, we could do this.
Damn.
That's scary, huh? That's scary, huh? How just a regular ass, some random black dude with a beer and a cigarette didn't figure this out. Right? And they want to insult my intelligence. I'm like, common sense is a thing.
Yeah. Should try it sometime.
So now that we have the layout, now that you know where we are, that's pretty hard to argue against, huh?
I know, right?
I know. If the regular, and it's only 5 points. This was the easiest thing I've ever done out of all of my other ones. Because remember, that stewardship shit was fucked. 10 points. And I'm talking about, bruh, I had to really cut some shit out for that. And we used that as base for this. So that way the money wouldn't be fucked. Oh, shit. So we have to start one by one. And I tried to solve the war, but they didn't want to solve the war in a way. Fine, fuck it. I'll solve the war in a different way. We busted out stewardship. Now we're going to go ahead and refine our own oil. Now we don't have to go to war. And now the bad actors suffer when they try to fuck the market because we step in. Oh, shit. This is a different kind of war, right? It's a Cold War. The first American Cold War starts now. Now, here's the beautiful part. We still have a few points we need to argue against.
Okay, what's that?
Now, I'm gonna ask him for the next argument, and I'll have you argue it first, and we'll see if you can argue our point against their bullshit.
Okay, well, I'm not too familiar with it all yet, but I'll try.
Oh, don't worry. I'm putting this shit on paper. I'm gonna send it to you, G. All right, Claude. Here is the most important part. We're gonna move on to the next argument. Go ahead and give us that argument now that we laid it out, and let's see what that next argument is. All right, well, shit, never mind. I guess
I'm off the hook.
It's over for now because I still haven't upgraded to the Claude. Maybe I should go pro. Let me go pro real quick. But it's $20. Fuck it out. Fuck it. Let me just get this little wallet over here real quick. Come on, Clyde. You can't do me like that. I know you want some money, nigga. Fine. Let me give you some money, nigga. Let me donate to the system that's helping us build this shit, right?
Right. There's some more bullshit that Mandini tried pulling. I know he already got busted for had that position established in his little cabinet or whatever for some kind of international thing, and they got caught talking with Iran. They were trying to set up a meeting with Mandini and the ambassador, and of course he's like, I didn't know anything about it. That was his job title, you fucking moron. Don't fucking idiot. Okay, so now they got slammed because his wife is going over to a hot zone over. She's going to Lebanon and Syria, and they put in for NYPD to provide a police escort. No, fuck no. That is not their fucking job right there, to go over to the Middle East to protect that bitch. That's fucked up. And they got shut down, and your request had to be put in for this shit. And Mandini, once again, wire's been crossed. I didn't know anything about it. Okay, asshole. You're an idiot. Quit lying. It's just, God, fucking idiots. I hate them.
Bastards, right? They're always trying to do something weird.
Yeah.
Whoa. I don't want that. I don't know. I guess it's trying to get me locked into something. I was just trying to.
Yeah.
One, but it's trying to get me to do two. I don't. Hold on. It's weird. Stop playing with me, Claus. Stop playing with me.
Oh, here's another problem though. With him.
No.
He said that he is still gonna follow through on taxing white people.
Oh, wow.
To ease burden on black residents. You racist motherfucker. That is not legal to do. And that's okay. Yeah. Do this. Whoops. I need to pull StreamYard away from that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, here we go. I believe this was today also. Yeah, there it is. All right, there you go.
All right, let's go. Uh-oh, hold on. Wait,
Well, if you hit the button, no, we don't have to do. Oh, okay.
Never mind. There you go.
Inequities in this city, the racial inequities are stark. We are talking about findings that have shown that the wealth of a median white household in the city is more than $200,000, while that of a black household is less than $20,000. This is not an indictment of any one New Yorker. It is an indictment, however, of policies and politics that have persisted for far too long. Our commitment now is to act upon these findings, to do so in concert with New Yorkers' comments, as we've now opened a public comment period for the next 30 days to ensure that we have a city where we are reckoning with the long history of racism here and starting to act upon a framework that puts equity right at the center of it.
Yeah, I believe the courts told him.
Equities in this city, the racial inequities are stark.
So, let me see. I think there was one more thing I had. Maybe not. Oh, yeah, I can't find that damn thing. All right, yeah, that's it. Bump. It'll probably show up later, and I'll be like, what'd that pop up for? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that motherfucker's overstepping his bounds and shit.
Yeah, I mean, he's just talking. People if they believe that shit, and that's fucking dumb shit.
He's still going to try to go through with the shit though. And that's how a lot of these idiots are getting elected. Oh, no ICE and shit like this. No, you can't. They don't have that power to do that. They can pass those laws all fucking day, and it don't matter.
Exactly. Shit, man. I still got a lot of work to do on this one. Not a lot. I feel like this one is really cleaned up. This is really cleaned up. And, oh, man, dude, this shit is gonna fucking go in. I think this is probably one of the scarier ones because this one is easier to put into play than the other ones. And I just feel like as we go further, my next legislations are going to be so much easier to put in place because of everything we've learned and all the shit we've built so far.
Yeah.
We've got fucking blueprint after blueprint. This shit is fucking fun, man. I don't know why people don't have fun thinking, bro. This shit's fun. It's like the only thing you get to do for free.
Yeah.
Wait, did I say that out loud?
Yeah.
Right?
I don't think anybody heard you though. So
it'd be crazy if they started putting like chips in people's heads mandatory, and then you can't think without authorization.
Yeah.
Y'all better start thinking now.
Yep. Well, half of them don't anyway.
That's scary, bro. Fucking thought.
Yeah.
I can't believe this game is still going, bro. I started playing this game when 15, 14, bro. I can't believe this game is still going.
Wow.
The graphics got hella good, too. These are good graphics compared to the way it used to be.
Nice. What game is this?
This one's
Adventure
called,
Quest.
Adventure Quest, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got Adventure Quest Worlds. It's more like a MMO style where you can run around the screen and shit. It's pretty cool. But I feel like this one is more intricate as far as the mind, because like, dude, this shit was so hard to beat going against like all these different. Look at those stats, bro.
Yeah.
Like, yo, you can get your ass whooped, but I'm a G. My stats are lit. Gotta have that endurance, bro.
Yeah.
Gotta have that dexterity, a little charisma, a little luck. You don't gotta be the smartest or the strongest. You can still whip that ass.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. As long as you can get out the way and defend yourself.
Right.
Hell yeah. This motherfucker is hard though. He always gives me a fucking ass kicking from time to time. So I gotta go more neutral with this motherfucker. He's a beast. But we'll just bust out the Guardian shit real quick. Show him why we protect the world, you bitch. Let's go. All right. I could probably just use the Void Spear. That shit in this process. He hits hard as fuck though. Shit. It's been a while since I fought. I'll just do the mana trap. That'll probably be better. More dexterity, more luck. And we'll see how that goes. Yeah, dexterity went up, luck went up. All right, we should get him. We're gonna kick his ass.
Oh yeah.
But man, damn it, Claude. And then I'm sitting here trying to pay for the fucking thing, and it won't let me. It won't take my $20 for some reason. Maybe it's God telling me not to do it because I don't need it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, $20, man. That could give you a lot of stuff right now.
Oh, yeah.
Not everything, but it could get you a lot of stuff. Water, food, whatever. And you'll be good for a day or 2, 3 days, whatever. You know, that $20 could get you to the end of the week if you use it right.
Exactly. And that's the problem today. People, what way people spend, man. Too many door dashes and shit.
Shit, it's $20 for delivery alone.
Yeah.
Shit. Damn, man. How was your day today, bro?
Oh, pretty good, man. Did a couple shows, and I'm sitting here right now. I'm trying to find a game clip from last night.
Yeah. See, I was checking out your show, like, that scary one, bro, with the fucking like, yo.
Oh yeah. All right,
shit, bro.
Yeah, here we go. I got it right here. I found it.
What's the name of that game?
Phasmophobia. It's pretty popular. It's been out for like 5 years now, and it's still going strong. And I think Blumhouse picked it up for a movie deal that they're going to work on.
Are the graphics getting better? Is it like?
Oh, the graphics are really good on it. Okay. Graphics are really good.
So I was watching a little bit. I ain't gonna lie, I had a part or two where I was just like,
Oh, it gets great when you got people with you, because there's always that one person, but it gets crazy. It's funny.
Yeah.
Here, I pulled that up there if you want to see it real quick.
All right, I got you.
These ghosts and shit can pop up at any time, anywhere, and this one picked a horrible spot. I'm trying to find out exactly where he is with the EMF. Oh, fuck me! Fuck you! Fuck me! God damn it! See, it slammed the front door too. Usually when the door shuts, they're hunting. That means you're getting ready to die. But they do a ghost event, which is harmless. That's what that was. But they'll slam the door on that too, just to freak you the hell out. It's crazy. And this ain't even the scariest one I got. I've got scarier games than this. This is mild.
Yeah. There was one game that freaked me out so much in the beginning of just starting it. Yeah. I fucking closed it. I think it was called like Outcast or some shit.
Huh. I've got one called a Demonologist that is really bad.
I think it was called Outcast. It was like a cross or whatever with some, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the fuck, bro. I got in there. I was like, I'm cool, bro. I'm not doing this shit. I don't give a fuck. Because I remember Resident Evil way back. Old school Resident Evil scared the balls out of me, bro.
This ain't even scary by today.
Oh, I'm talking about when I was a kid and PlayStation was just like first coming out, Resident Evil, bro, that shit was
on Resident Evil, you had weapons to fight back. We ain't got weapons on this thing. You got to use your head. You got to run, start shutting power off on everything and hide if you can. It's hard to get away from them.
Yeah, I've had my run in with fucking specters IRL, so I don't play around with that shit. I grew up in a haunted house. Like when we first moved out to Arizona, we moved into a haunted house. It was fucking big, and the land on it was big. It was one of the older houses that was in that neighborhood, but it was on the main road. You know what I mean? So it was like you could hear the traffic going by. You could hear people walking by and shit. But like once you closed the door, you couldn't hear shit from outside.
Wow.
That's how scary that fucking
complete
house was.
Silence. Yeah, that's
man. And like you would hear rumbles and you would think it's from outside. And there's crazy because all the walls from all the outside, they're all brick. And you could hear scratching inside the brick from my room and shit at night. Fucked me up, dude. Wow. Every night, just like nails scratching on the fucking. Oh my god, not the bricks. Ugh.
That's weird right there.
But I had to be in that room because I'm the boy. I needed my own room. Everybody else had a buddy. And I'm just hearing scratches on the wall, right? I never understood what that was. I would look out the window. There's nothing on the other side of the wall.
Not good.
You know, it's fucking weirdest shit ever, bro.
The scratches aren't good.
Inside the brick, that's scary.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck. And when we got the house too, there was locks on the outside of all of the fucking extra room doors. Like they were locking something in. And we had to take them off to get into those rooms. That was fucking scary.
Yeah, that's weird.
We had this back room, right? Okay, so there was one room, like you could walk. Okay, the hallway. Oh my god, the hallway was so long for no reason at all, bro. A narrow ass hallway. You could reach out and touch your hands across it, and it was for no reason. 50 feet down this way with no doors. Just straight. Okay, you walk in, boom, entryway. Oh, beautiful. Living room right here to the left. All right, master bedroom right here to the right. Right when you walk in. Big old master bedroom, you know, bathroom in there. And then a long ass 50-foot hallway.
Right.
You walking down this hallway, absolute silence.
Yeah.
And then you hit the corner. On the left, there's a fucking kitchen, big ass kitchen, and a window right there to a back room that leads outside. It's like one of those it's like a extended room, like they call them Arizona rooms or whatever, you know. And you could slide it open and like climb through. It was a big ass fucking window right there. You could literally clearly see through it. But when you're in the kitchen, from time to time, you see something run past that bitch. What? Trippy as fuck, right? But you have to go through the kitchen to get to the garage. When you get into the garage is huge as fuck, like 3-car garage. And then right to the right, boom, to the outside.
Right.
You open up the outside, you're outside, and then the Arizona room is right there. You can open it up, and that leads into a sliding door that goes into the first bedroom in the hallway. And then you could go down another 25 feet to the right of the hallway. You got 2 more bedrooms, and both of those bedrooms were bolted, shut, locked when we first got there.
That's just weird.
I know. It was the creepiest. It was a beautiful place, but creepy as shit. My mom still to this day, she is just, she doesn't want to speak about that house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, brother, I gotta get out of here. I am needed elsewhere.
Hell yeah.
This could be a busy night, dude.
I'm having issues with this Claude nigga, so I'm gonna go ahead and refine the plan, and we'll get back on his ass tomorrow. Tomorrow is what, Friday, right?
Friday. I got the show 5 Eastern, 4 Central on my channel.
All right. 5 Central?
4 Central, 5 Eastern.
4 Central. Okay.
Yeah, I'll get it set up here in a little bit.
What time is it for you right now? It's 9 o'clock for me.
It's 11 o'clock for me.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
so
I'm in
you're
Central.
2 hours ahead of me. All right.
Yeah.
So I will start about 2 hours ago.
Okay.
So 9 o'clock.
Cool.
So if you got some time, you can come through. I should have that final draft, at least
all right. Awesome.
A portion of it. I'll be able to send it to you. You can look it over.
Okay.
Tomorrow's going to be our last day on this topic because we should be wrapping this shit up. It should be bulletproof.
I like that. Yeah.
And then, next week, I think we're just going to take a break from the Smarty shit. We're just going to bullshit next week. And then the following
sounds
week,
good, man.
I should have an idea what the next legislation going to be.
Cool, man. I'm out of here, bro. I'll see you later.
Later, G. Appreciate you for coming by. All right. Claude topped out on us. I can't. It won't let me buy the thing. I got the money. I tried to pay. It won't let us. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and kick it. we get up out of here. Thanks everybody for coming through. We had a great show today. We made a lot of headway, and it's really hard to beat us. It really is. It's really hard to beat us, isn't it? I mean, we come up with some awesome shit over here. And everybody that supports, everybody that puts in their 2 cents, even the people that just come through and watch from time to time, you know, you are appreciated. And remember, the world doesn't go around without you. All the people that work and do overtime, shout out to y'all. You guys are underappreciated. You know, man, we're going to do some great things, guys. And now, you know what time it is, right? It's time for me to shut the fuck. My little homegirl put me on. She said, this shit brand new, free flow. Lady rappers been acting like this is not an art. You forgot about that part. Lady rappers been acting like this is not an art. You forgot about that part. Lady rappers been spitting like they ain't got a heart. Because when I step to the game, I rip that shit
If you do not want to change,
from magic carpet,
if you do not want to better yourself, if you do not want to bring
with me,
outside
choose a role and play
of
your part.
spectrum,
Beneficial functionality.
if you want to live in your comfortable delusion that they have built
always feel
for
this
you,
hard, only if the universe keeps dealing shitty cards.
Do not
I'm trying as hard as I can against
watch
all
these
of the
videos.
odds. Pushing
Leave
as hard
this
as I
channel.
could is what got me so far. But what
If
are my
you
chances of actually reaching the
not
stars? Still,
want
I
any
will
truth,
never get up tatted over
don't
my
want to
heart.
understand,
Never my
if you are not
hiding
here
and my weed up in
to
the jar. Sexy Middle
hear
Eastern looking ass
something
like I'm
that's
Jafar.
outside
When
of
it
your
comes
own
to the
mind
game, I'm
and
an eagle,
accept
you're
others'
ours. Please don't get
minds and
slipping.
opinion and
I'ma
the way they
catch you
think
off
for
guard
themselves,
while you
you do not
chillin' in
belong.
the crib. Got your chick in my car. Every
finally,
time you hear it tripping like
if
that shit
you are
sounds
not
bizarre.
trying to
Your favorite rapper
be
tried hard,
positive,
still is a
if you
mark.
are not trying
Still
to
like
help
the fuel to the
create
game, watch the
solutions
sparks.
while we
My
discuss the
lines
problems
burn like
and how
guns
they got
getting
here,
smoked in the dark. Hella
you do
cooking
not
shit
belong
up.
here.
If your ass wanna
Negativity,
spar, barbecue
hate,
your beef up like the
disrespect,
seats in my
name
car.
calling,
Yourself
those
up
things will not be
refrigerator
allowed here
jar.
on this platform.
Rappers, they not rapping,
And
it's
not in this
an art,
empire.
not an art.
We are the ones, the true Americans, that want to be free and stand as we have always stood.